Hi, everyone. Excuse me. I know, there I go, coughing again. Just checking the cameras. Oh, I got a new angle there. How's that? And I found a special button. Oh, I hope it's still there. All right, that's not fair. I had a little zoom button on my screen. Now it's gone. Oh, how's that? Oh, that's really close. Holy moly. Okay, enough fooling around with that. Okay, let's go back to the work table. Here we go. So how's everybody doing today? I know this is probably not much of a stitch along. I didn't give you a lot of information. Excuse me. Because I'm not making a project. I'm showing you different ways that this apple core unit can be sewn together because you got curves. I did a little one. That wasn't for the faint of heart. I need to, excuse me, I need to press it. But we'll work with the bigger one. And if you don't have the, excuse me, if you don't have the dies for it, like the Crafter's Companion dies for it, you know, they make acrylic dies, paper dies, trace out your own dies for all of these shapes, like the hexagon, half hexagon, excuse me, and all that. There's companies that make dies for them, or you can, if you have like Electric Quilt, you could probably get a template from there, your Electric Quilt software. So this one's a little more particular, I guess I'll say. This one's a little more particular when you stitch it. So you all may want to just sit back and relax. And I'm going to show you a couple different ways to stitch it, and then you'll have to try it and see which way you like best. But also keep in mind that anytime you're sewing a convex and a concave, convex concave together, no matter what it is, or an arc like the what is it called, the wedding ring quilt, you're going to run into that same situation. So let's just give it a couple minutes and give everybody a chance to join in. I have some scraps of fabric. I don't have the die packet for this one because I keep it in a little container like, but I do have the little, and I'm going to turn my bigger light on. I'm going to shut it off again when I'm done because it really creates that terrible glare on the sewing machine, and that's more important to not have that. So it just says patch. Oh, there it is. Apple core. Oh, let's back it up a little bit. Okay, so I did say about that part. So we're going to be sewing in the moonlight, so to speak. I think it's plenty bright enough. I got the new little Verve set up. It has a little table. So my other machine comes like all the way over here, so I'll have a little more room, and I don't have to have the little table up all the time, little extension table up. I put it up so that I have some place to for the fabric to lay. So let's see, anybody in the chat? Nobody's chatting yet. Okay, so I'm going to wait just one more minute in case anybody wants to say hi or have a question or comment? I was using this, I've been using my little pressing mat as a sort of like a display, so that made me think that I should make trying to think what the name of it is, like a workboard with white, maybe a white one and a dark one to have. And when I do that, I'll do it as probably as a Saturday sew along or a Saturday glue along, staple along. I'm not quite sure how I'll do it. But once I get it done, I'll be happy to share that with you. I know I'm going to use foam board, and I'm going to use flannel and some fabric and probably a little bit of batting, but I'm not sure yet. But again, when I do that, I'll be happy to share it with you. Okay, so we can go ahead and get started. So I'm going to take and use the excuse me, the biggest one. Put those all over there. Oh, for crying out loud. There we go. Okay, and I can get rid of this now. So whenever you're cutting fabric, whether you're using dies, a rotary cutter, templates, whatever you're using, I think I've told you before, you should always use some kind of starch or a best press or something to give your fabric a little more body, and it'll keep it from stretching or kind of going out of shape. It just is helpful for it, especially for those of you who wash your fabric ahead of time before you cut. I don't. I buy from the local quilting stores, which has top grade fabric. But I do wash batiks because batiks are dyed. These are printed, so the dye is going to come out. You won't notice it so much in the lighter colors of batiks, but you'll really notice it in the darker colors, even if you rinse it in the sink until the dye comes out. Okay, so I've got my fabric plates. I'm using the big Gemini, but I'm going to use the Gemini Junior. Oh, you can't even see the plate. I'm going to use the Gemini Junior plates, so we'll go a little faster. So a plate, and let's see how many I have here. Excuse me, I grabbed a bunch. And I'm just going to line them up along one side, so I know that everybody is good on that side, because these are just some odds and ends I had left. This guy's a little big. Let me see. I'm trying to remember. Oh, I'm putting it into the machine this way, so if there's some hanging off here, it's okay. And this one was the littlest piece, so I'm putting that on top, because if I don't, I won't know exactly where to put it, top and bottom. So my littlest pieces always go on top. And this is curved in all directions, so you're not going to have a straight of grain. Every curve is going to be like stretchy. So you just have to be careful when you're handling them and pressing them and all that. So I forgot, what did I have? 6 layers, I think I had. So B plate goes on, and B plate, clear plate on top. And I will, now that I have more room, I will set up the Gemini on the table or put the camera to it, so you can see it cut. I know we've done it before. It's just that it's very loud to the microphone, and I don't want to blast your ears off. Okay, so that only took a minute. And I'm only cutting this one time. And you notice I didn't tape. I had plenty of room. And look, they all came out perfect. I had plenty of room that the die really wasn't going to move around. Okay, so now let me get this one out of the way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay these out to see what kind of order I want them in. And you notice they can't be side by side that way. So one is vertical, the next one's horizontal. So you see how the piece fits in there. Now, when you look at this, you go, oh, well, that's bigger than that. That isn't going to work. But once you flip it over, it'll all work out. It'll all work out magically. So let's see. Did I only have? Oh, I was going to say I thought there was one more. Let's put this one here. And then the next row, if we do the next row, will be like that. Oh, except you see what we have to do? So let me move this over a little bit. So the next row has to go opposite. So if this one's vertical, this next one is horizontal. Let me move it over a little bit. Because see, if we have them the same way, they're not going to work. So this next one has to be horizontal to the vertical to the horizontal so that they fit in with each other. Does that make sense? Oh, hi, Cindy. Hi, Rhonda. Oh, it's snowing? Well, I don't have any snow. I'm sorry, I had to go look. I don't have any snow. I know it's probably heading my way. Okay. Excuse me. So again, I don't know what time everybody started watching, but I cut these on the with a die on the Gemini, but this is called the Apple Core, C-O-R-E, Apple Core unit or shape, and you can get them as acrylic dies. You can probably you might even be able to find somewhere where it's just a paper download, different sizes. So this is more about those, what I call inside-outside curves or convex-concave going together. So we're going to, here's the one I did. And let me set that over there for now. So let me see. I have to think how I'm going to explain this one. So we have several options. You can pin it, and I'll show you the issues with that. You can glue it with a fabric glue stick, and that'll work. If I pin it, and I'll show you how I pin it. I'll pin it the beginning, the middle, and the end. Sometimes I put a pin and I'll probably show you that one last because for me it works the best. I just put a pin in the center and a pin in the center of the other one, so I know when I get to center, the pins should match up to each other. So I guess and also, can you see how old this is? Look, can you see how yellowed the plastic is? Really, it's yellow. It used to be clear. So this is a Curve Master foot, and it's made for any machines because it comes with a whole bunch of different ankles. And it is, let me get my little display. I'm not sure if you'll be able to see how little it is. Oh, it keeps sliding away on me. Oh, wait a minute. Yeah. Let me turn that big light back on again for a minute. So you can see, let me put I'm going to put my 1/4 inch foot with the guide next to it. And you see how little it is? And here's the snap, the little rod for the snap. And you see how short it is? See where your needle goes in right there? And this is meant for this type of sewing. So we'll give that one a try first. How's that? What the heck? So I may be sewing and taking apart and sewing and taking apart, but I want you to see the different ways. I'm not sure if they even make this anymore. I'll have to find a link if I can for it. It wasn't cheap if I remember correctly, but it's for any machine. It has all different ankles. I'm going to use my actual ankle that's on my machine because I couldn't seem to remember which one worked, and I got tired of trying to figure that out. So what we need to do is we're going to be, so when we sew, we're putting these two pieces together, which looks fine there, except it's a little big. But when we flip it, yeah, it's like, yeah, how does that work? Now, with this foot, and we're going to go ahead, I'm going to be the experimenter today. I'll be the professor, the scientist. And we're going to experiment, because I'm going to show you how it tells you to sew this without any pins. Okay? But I always have to line up, and let me come in. I'm going to come in a little more while we're doing this. I want to line up these corners. So I'm straight across, straight down. And I'm going to put a pin. You know how I like to put that pin in the corner? I'm going to put that pin down there because if I put it up here, the second I try to put my foot down, the pin's going to be in the way. And I do like to at least start out with the corner right as incorrect. And then we're going to go over to this corner. So let's switch over to the machine. And let me get situated where I move the camera and then I put one of the tripod legs in my way. So I'm going to come in a little ways. Ooh, that's really in, isn't it? And I'm going to try real hard. See, I can't, oh, you got to watch my arm there because I don't have my automatic foot goes down. So you can see how little, like it's like half the width of my finger from the where it snaps on to the front. And that's because when you're sewing a curve, you want to have as little foot as possible so that you're turning it closer to the needle. Okay, so let me see if I can get situated. Let's see how that looks. That looks pretty good. So let's see. Hold on one second. I'm just going to stand on either side of the tripod. So there's a little ridge right here. What can I point with? There's a little ridge that comes out a little bit right there. And that's what I want to have my fabric up against. Oh, maybe I shouldn't have started with this one. Okay, now I'm going to take a stitch. Got my pedal where I can't reach it. Okay, I'm going to take a stitch. And remember, that's my third hand now. I'm going to take that pin out because I don't need that. And the whole philosophy to this one is, I'm going to pull my sleeves up for this. The whole philosophy to this is keep the fabric in line with that edge, and I have to hold this fabric up and keep them both close to that edge. Are you laughing? So you get a pretty good view there. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to try to keep my fingers out of your way. Would help if I had some thread in my needle. It came out. Technical difficulties. And this machine has a little plunger threader that makes a loop. So we got our loop. Now I've got to pin this again. So you can see I've got this edge and this top edge nice and straight, and nothing else is, just that edge. Let's get the thread in out of the way. Okay. Let's take a stitch or two. I know my finger's in your way. Here we go. And this is made for a 1/4 inch. Okay, so here we go. So you can see I've got to keep the two fabrics together, holding the top one up, and make sure they stay right along that little edge there. Okay, so let's try it. And every now and again, I'm going to stop just to make sure I have my fabric all straight. And I'm trying to do this so you can see. Oh. And let me back up a little bit. When I get to about right here, about 3/4 of the way, I should be able to match up these ends. Okay, so just a few more stitches. And let's... Oh, sorry. Okay, so I'm getting close enough so that I should be able to bring this fabric around. Oh, just a little more. So I'm going to bring the fabrics around to meet. And, you know, this is a lot easier when you don't have the camera in your way. So I'm lining up along this edge and this side edge. And don't let go. I'm trying my best to keep my fingers out of your way. And you notice it flattens out as we get close to the edge. We made it, and it lined up. Oh, look, I've got to lift my own foot up. I have no pivot. Isn't that bad? Okay, so let's switch over. And it lined up on each end. So now let's just give it a little press. Isn't that kind of magical? And you'll see that it'll end up laying nice and flat once it's pressed. And I want to stay right where the seam is. I don't want to go up over on any side. And let's see, I guess we'll press to the, I'll call it the shorter side. Oh, so how's that look? Pretty good? Iron wasn't quite hot enough. Should be good now. There we go. So how's that? Wasn't that magical? Okay, so now I'm going to back up again a little bit there. Now, I guess I went too far back. There we go. I'm going to take that foot off. I'm going to put my 1/4 inch foot on. 1/4 inch foot with the guide. This time I'll make sure I have enough thread. Oh. And I'm going to, let's see. This is our next piece. So let's glue this one. So I'm going to get my fabric glue. Oh, Cindy, I always make, I don't, I'm beginning to think I need to sew standing up, because I swear to you that came out really, I was impressed myself. Of course, I was working earlier on the tiny ones, and it was painful. I will just tell you, it was painful. Okay, this is a kind of a project that, you know, it's like, okay, don't call it a project, just call it, let's have some fun and see what happens, because sometimes you'll be surprised when you just let go and let things happen like they're supposed to, instead of putting 50 pins in it, how it actually works out. And you know, I've told you before, me and pins were not best friends. So this time, I'm going to put fabric glue down. Along that edge, and try not to stretch it. And then I got to make sure I'm doing this the right way. So I'm going to glue that corner, but I am going to put a pin there only because I'm going to go ahead to the other corner. Let's see if I can stay in camera and line this one up, because I find this works best for me. So I'm lining up. So see how I have to turn this whole piece to make sure my corner lines up. And I honestly can't remember how old my glue is, so I'm going to put a couple of pins there. But then the rest of it, if I kind of just curve, it all, I don't know if I can do it. I don't think I can do it and show you. I'm putting it down on the table. So let's just come along and we'll just press it in for the glue on each side as we head to the middle. And as long as you make sure the top raw edges are lined up, it'll work. So see, it's ripply here, and that's because I've got this blue fabric is not lined up with the yellow fabric. And you normally would have this down on the table. I'm just trying to do it. Probably isn't helping any. I'm not sure how I feel like I don't have any glue in the middle. And you probably could use a glue stick. And they do say to keep your glue sticks in the refrigerator or the freezer because you have them around the house and you go to use it and there'll be the whole glue sticks gone because with the warmth of the house, kind of went away. So I've got that all glued, and you can see that it sort of has a little dip to it. So you're not going to hold it straight out, okay? Yeah. My glue must be old or I'm just not putting enough on there. Okay, so if your glue's working, it works out pretty well. But you see why I leave the pins on each end because you're tugging at it and everything. So see, it's all lined up. Everybody's nice and flat. But it is, well, for Pete's sakes, it is kind of curved. See how you can see the curve? So let's sew this one and see what happens. You ready? Here we go. Okay, so this time I shouldn't have to worry about anything. I should be able to just stitch. Except I've got to watch for my 1/4-inch seam allowance. So I'm going to do you see how, because I put the pin out here, remember how before I put the pin over on the left? You see how it's already in the way of my guide, my seam guide. So I can see it's a little off, but we're just gonna keep going and get a few stitches in. So all I need to do is pay attention to, let's see if I can get that so it doesn't keep getting blurry on. I just need to pay attention to this little bit right here to be flat, just this little bit at a time. It's sort of like when we did the Easter basket and we just had to work on a little bit at a time. Oh, let me get my fingers out of your way. So it doesn't matter if out here on the left it's all puckery and wrinkly. It doesn't matter. All that matters is what part is where the needle is. I'm going to hold my finger right on that little end there. Okay, so let's see how we did this time. Okay, so it looks pretty good, pretty smooth. Oh, look what I did. Let's see. Is that going to show? Yep, I got to fix that little piece right there. We can do that. That's an easy fix. I'm sure, have you ever had that happen where something flips over underneath? Don't lie to me now. Tell me the truth. So I'm just going to quickly go to the sewing machine and just stitch that little bit. I don't think you have to watch that part. But remember, when you take a little bit of your stitching out and stitch over, you want to make sure you do a locking stitch where you end, because there's nothing to, it's not next to the seam, there's nothing there to keep it closed. Whoop. So now we're all set. Put the glue stick away. And I'm going to give that a little press right there. And then let's see which way. I always say, see if it wants to be boss. As to which way the seam allowance is going to go. And so, see, I want to make sure, see how part of the seam allowance flipped over the other way. And you would give it a shot of steam with your bigger iron. And how's that? We're 2 for 2. Starting to look like a baseball. We're 2 for 2 here on this. Okay, so I'm going to set this one aside because we still have to work on sewing the two pieces together. Let's get our neck section out. Oh, let's back up a little bit. Oh, wrong way, sorry. Here we go. There we go. Okay, so we have this piece. And now remember, this one's horizontal, so this next one has to be vertical. And you'll know in a second because, how's that going to work? Well, you could sew those together. Those would sew together easy, except they would be a pucker. Okay, and then the next one is going to go vertical and then horizontal. So does anybody have any questions so far? We're good? Okay, so we use the Curve Master. And I'll find, hopefully I can find a link for this somewhere. And I'll put it in the description of this video. We did the glue. We didn't do the pins. Let's see. So let's pin. So I'm going to fold this in half and just put a little crease. And fold this one in half and put a little crease. All right, which side did I crease? Apparently, it's this way. See, I almost put it together wrong. Couldn't find my crease. So again, I'm going to pin the end. So let me come back in closer again. Here we go. I'm going to pin the end so that I'm squared off. And I'm going to put the pin further away. And when I do that, you see how I run it through a couple times so it doesn't move? And it moved. It moved anyway. There we go. So the ends are even. I'm going to go over to the other side. And you see how I'm really flipping that fabric around. It's like, yeah, this is never going to work. Okay, thought I had it wrong again. And I'm going to match up the other end. And again, I put the pin through a few times. I find that if I just put it through like normal, it just doesn't save it. But these edges, when you get to about right here, this should be flat. The curve is really not right to the edges. And then I'm going to find where those two, oh, see, I got to turn this pin. My pin's going to be in my way. Well, I'm going to find where the two little folds of the fabric are. And I'm going to put a pin there. And I can already see that this is pretty well laying flat. So I'll put another pin in. And then I'm going to go to this side and see how it's pretty well laying flat. As long as you've got the two fabrics lined up at the top. And now this pin's in my way, so I'm going to take it out and use it. And then just fix this end. So how are we looking? But you see, it's still got that kind of like cup. It's kind of cup, this is like putting a sleeve in a shirt. Same idea. Okay? So we got our pins in. Let's go. And don't look at this too much because it's like, oh my God, what the heck is that? We just have to be flat right along with the 1/4 inch seam is. We don't care what else is going on. Okay, so let's sew this one. Let's see if I can get it started without being in your way. I'm going to come in, let's see if I can come in a little more. I want you to, I'm trying to get you the best view, the best seat in the house. And I know it keeps focusing into my fingers. Okay, so it's nice and flat there. All right. I'm trying to give it something different to focus on. Let's see. And I mean I'm talking about the camera. So I'm going to go a few stitches. So I can go ahead and take that long pin that I had. Well, they're all long, but I had it in the long way. Okay, and I'm going to try to keep this down so you can see it. I want to make sure that the two fabrics stay lined up at the edge. Is it blurry? Is that my imagination? I'm just going to go a little ways because that my 1/4 inch guide bumps into my pins way before I really want to take them out. So I'm going to hold my finger where that pin was. Okay, just want to make sure I haven't got the fabric underneath all bunched up somewhere. And again, I have to take my pin out. Getting close to the end, so I'm getting close to, I apologize if it's blurry, I'm getting close to where it's kind of straightens itself out. Okay? So let's see how this one worked out. Back to the work table. Well, we finished almost even at each end. And we'll give that, let me back up again. There we go. Give that one a little press. And it looks like I got a little pinch there. Oh yeah. I ironed a nice pleat into that. Yep, I got a little pleat. Let's see if I can show you that. So the little pleat, I don't know if you can see it. There's a little pleat right there. I can feel it. Now, can I see it so much? Not. Yeah, I can see it. There it is. You can see it looks like a line right there. See how it looks like there's a white line there? That's the pleat. So we didn't do so well on the pin, which I warned you, pins and I aren't best friends. Oh, look what I did. What happened? I got two the same. Well, that's all right. We're going to leave it because it's just practice. So now this time, I'm going to use the 1/4 inch foot with the guide. I'm going to fold this in half and put a pin just to designate where the halfway is. And because I'm pinning one fabric, I do run it through a couple times. And this is going this way. Can you believe that? Of all the colors, the bright yellow. Isn't that annoying? And I'm going to put a pin in the halfway of this one. Preferably not through my finger that's behind it. Okay, so I've got a pin there and a pin there for the halfway mark. Now, I'm going to really live on the edge. I'm not going to use any pins because I'm going to hold on to this and get it started. And then I'm going to lift this one the same way I did with the Curve Master foot. I'm going to lift this one and see if it works with my 1/4 inch foot. Are you ready? And let's see if I move so that I can put the focus on the needle plate. So I'm putting the focus here, so maybe we'll do our best. Let's come in a little closer though, because I want you to see that I'm going to lift the fabric up. So because I didn't pin this anywhere, lining up this first corner is easy because I'm not getting any tugging from anywhere else on the two fabrics. So, pardon my hand for a minute there. Okay, so let me get a stitch or two going here. Okay, we good so far? My sweater's getting in the way. I've got to get rid of that. Okay, here's my pin. Oh, let me back up. Here's my pin for the top. There's my pin for the bottom. These guys look like they're never going to be in touch with each other ever. So let me see if I can show you. See how far off they are from each other? So this one isn't over here yet. It's going to get over there as we stitch. That's the plan. Now let's see if we can get in. Oh, that's a little too close, isn't it? Right. Oh, hold on. I got to back up before I hit that button again. Nope, that's too close. My little zoomer. Well, that's a nice picture of the pin, wasn't it? Okay, let's try that. So, again, I'm going to lift my top fabric. I'm just trying real hard to find a place where it doesn't keep getting fuzzy. I'm going to hold up my top fabric, keep it even with the bottom fabric, which is running along the edge of the guide, the 1/4 inch foot guide. Okay, so I'm just going to do a little at a time, so hopefully it doesn't get too blurry for you to see. Okay, I'm going to stop. Make sure my my hand's out of the way to making it blurry. Now, so far, look, so far my pins are coming where they're supposed to together. Okay, so I've got to keep my, all right, let's see how I know you're getting blurriness. So let's see if I go, well, you know what? I'm going to try this one-handed and keep that flipped up. But you know you're supposed to be like holding this one up and kind of guiding this bottom one. So if I flip that up like that, let's see if I can make it work just so you're not getting all blurry. And see, when I come down, you see the two pins are exactly together. And it looks like I got like 5 tons of fabric in this little piece here. You get my hands out of the way again. So it looks like I have like twice as much fabric on the top as I do on the bottom. Don't panic. Our 2 pins are lined up. So I'm going to go ahead and see how they're lined right up together. I'm going to take those 2 pins out, and I'm just going to sew a little more right there where the 2 pins had met, okay? And I'm going to stop. And it still looks like I've got 10 times more fabric on top than the bottom. So I'm going to hold it up still. I'm going to try to, I know it's a little blurry, but I'll try my best. So I'm bringing this fabric over. And I literally cannot see anything, well, neither can you. I'm holding this up like I can't see a thing, except I can see right here where I need to see. And then as I get closer, let me get it so it's not blurry. Do you see how all that fabric is gone? And now I just have to line up my 2 edges. And you actually can sew along a little faster than me with trying to keep it from getting blurry all over your screen there. So I'm lining up those 2 edges. And finishing. Okay, let's see how this looks. Were you able to see it, even though I know it was probably a little blurry? Were you able to see it pretty much okay? So our 2 ends match. And I'm wrinkly. So see, you can see how it's wrinkly, but it's actually, there's no pucker there. There's no pleat in the fabric. On that side, at least. So let's just give this a little press. It is a little magical, isn't it? So that looks fine. There's no puckers or pleats there. So, does anyone have a preference of which way they would stitch it? Now, besides the obvious of these two fabrics being the same color, the bad part about this is because they're the same color, if you don't match those seams practically perfectly, I think you're going to notice it more. So, under normal circumstances, I would not have those two together. But hold on. I have this one. And I can add that one onto there. And this one onto that. Now that would still annoy me. They're both in the same row. So let's go ahead and add these on. Because I've almost got enough for a placemat. And I think that I was thinking about this earlier. I think that if I made this into, say, a placemat, mug rug, whatever it may be, this would be a big mug rug. I almost think that I would give it a go to put binding around this. That would be really nice. Now, you would have to cut your binding on the bias. So maybe we'll save that particular thing for another day. So let's go ahead and add, we'll pretend that's the bottom. Look, I didn't do well. I haven't done well all day on this, have I? So now we've got to match. We back up a little more. Oh, wrong way. Okay. Now we've got to match the seams. And I'm going to do it the same way. Nobody has a preference? Are you guys all extra quiet tonight? Nobody has a preference? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip these over. Now I could still do the same exact thing because I'm going to use the 1/4 inch foot for the guide. So I'm going to fold the pieces in half. And put the pin in. I find that when you see that the halfway mark is working out good, you just feel better about it. And when I fold this one in half, I'll have to do the other one again. I have to make sure I can't fold it right side in because the seam allowance is taken up. So I fold it to the very edge of the fabric that's even in the seam allowance, because that's the real halfway mark. And the same here. I want to fold it to the edge of the fabric, not to the right side edge. So I'm going to fold it wrong sides together. So I'm sure to have the edge of the fabric to the one edge matched up to the other edge. Did I lose everybody? And then I'm going to do this one again just to be sure. This one I am going to do right sides together because I can see both edges of the fabric. I think so far maybe the blue one worked the best. And I'm going to go this. I think if I had to do a bunch of them, I probably would use the glue method because it's just so much quicker. And it's even quicker when your glue isn't old. It's much quicker and you can feel confident that it's laying flat where it needs to lay flat. I think I would vote for the glue. But I thought I would show you different methods of sewing it, because sooner or later you're going to run into those those curves. Thought I had one more. Oh, Rhonda, you don't have a preference? I know Rhonda. Rhonda says that she's amazed how they fit together. I'm amazed too, because even halfway through, you're thinking to yourself, oh my God, I've got like an inch of fabric that's going to be extra. And as you go along, it just disappears. It's like a magic act. That's why, I'd like you guys to try it sometime, just for the kind of fun to see it in person. Now, so I always line it back up so I know I have it straight. And you could pin those pins together, but I found that if I want to lift it, then I'm better off not to have it pinned together. But I do want to try to match up the seams. And I would like one going one way and one the other. That's always nice. And we sewed something, wasn't last week. We sewed something a few weeks ago where you had to measure down that 1/4 inch to get things to line up. I forget what it was we sewed. And that's kind of what you're doing here, is you want to make sure that your seam allowance is meeting at that 1/4 inch down. But I think as long as you measure your very top so it's even across this way, I think you'll be okay. You come in a little further so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, so I'm going to get back to the beginning. Now, this is a lot of fabric this time. And right now I'm missing my machine. It has the pivot. It's in for its spa treatment, because having the pivot I miss it. I need one more pin. I've used up all my normal amount of pins, my pin supply. I'm just matching up that corner. And the reason I'm not just pinching this and going is because I have so much weight here that I want to make sure that I match that corner up. Let's see if I pin, if I pin further down. Yeah, I think we're okay if we pin further down instead of here. I found it was getting a little in the way when it was over here, this way. So, okay, are we ready to give it a whirl? Okay, Cindy, now I don't want you to expect a lot here. I've already matched some. I've done my good stuff already, and now I'm back. I should be back to my normal. Not everything's going to match up perfectly. Okay, so I'm just going to get out to stab myself. Too many pins for me. I'm lined up at the corner, and that's my only goal at the moment, is to get the corner right and get a couple of stitches in. Okay? Because I'm already running into that needle. And you'll see when you do something like this, because the 1/4 inch foot with the guide comes out further than the foot does. So let me see, besides my hand, what can we focus on? Let me turn a little this way. Okay, so I'm going to lift this fabric up. I'm not going to be able to lift it. Let me get my hand out of the way so the blurry go. Oh, come on, blurry. There we go. That was a lot. That was really blurry. I'm going to lift this up just a little ways. And you can see where the two fabrics are meeting. Because I'm pinned at my seam allowance, and that, I don't know, that might not work out. So, trying to do this so that you don't get blurry. Let me get that hand out of the way. Okay, and every time you feel like you just, need a moment to gain control again, just stop. I always have my needle down so I can lift my foot up. Because my pins are going to start getting in the way of the, pardon me for 1 second, I got to pull that back fabric up. So I should be able to, got to put my own foot down, that's just too much. Just kidding. I know it's a little blurry, but I know those pins are matching, so I've got my fingers right on the pins because from the pins to the needle is nice and flat, and that's all I care about. Okay, now I'm going to try to make sure I don't have fabric hanging underneath there. So I'm going to just try to lift this fabric up a little bit. And I think we're going to be okay. Let's see how it goes. Okay, so I lifted them both up then. That seemed to work. And I want to make sure I get through this and come into the seam. Okay, so I've got through that seam, hopefully. I'm going to line everybody up again. Okay, let's see if I lift them both. Shall we try that? Oh. Hold on for the blurry. Okay, I couldn't keep the two fabrics lined up as well on the one side. So let me lift my foot because my top fabric was going to the left. Okay, my pins are lined up again. So let me just get this done. And that's, I just went over where the pins were. They seem to be doing okay. Coming up to the seam. Now I'm going to see how, so I'm going to put my finger on that seam. Okay, so now I'm coming to the end where now it's nice and loose. I can hold this up. And I just had to move the top fabric, keeps wanting to go to the left. And here we come. And there's the pins together again. So I'm just going to sew to where those pins are because that was laying nice and flat. Now this time I feel like I don't have enough fabric on the top. I got more on the bottom. So it must be whoever is, let me see, this is concave, this is convex. So it depends which one's on top, which illusion you're going to get. And then once I come around, so you can see that it is almost straight. I just need to go a little bit further. And I meant you made just a couple more stitches. And now I can see where this is going to lay pretty darn flat. And I know I'm trying to do it without my fingers in your way, and it's not working. So let me just get my fingers in your way for a minute and get it over with. Oh, gotta put the presser foot down. Oh, now let's see, I let go here. So now I am going to have a little extra fabric because I let go of that edge. But that's okay. Let's see how that all worked out. Did we make it through? So we're good on that edge. And I'm just a tad over on this edge. So let's see what happens when we give it a press. So let me back up a little bit again. Oh, wrong way. And again, you'd be going slow, but you wouldn't have to go quite that slow because you're not standing back a foot from your machine with a camera in your way. You'd go slow, but like I said, when I was trying to grab a hold of the fabric, I was trying to do it so I wasn't in your way too much, where if you're just home sewing, then you don't have to worry about that. Oh, so that looks pretty good. So let's press this. And let's flip it over because I can see how it's going in both directions. So let's see. I think everybody wants to go up. And you would spend a little more time with your pressing. I'm just trying not to bore you guys with pressing. So there we are. So see, I'm a little off there, but this one's good. And here's that little edge where it's off just a little bit. I don't think I'd undo it for that. So there we go. So what do you think of that sewing? Kind of magical. I'll call it the magical sewing. Well, it's magical if it comes out right. Our lines are good here. We're nice and even up here. My seam allowance is a little off there, but with the stripes, it's hard to notice it. So there we go. And I know I've ironed in more wrinkles than I ironed out. Rhonda, you don't want me to come into your house. Oh, I know what it is. Remember that one with the little, we had that one with the little pucker in it? There we go. And I would probably give this a little best press or starch. And then once you press it, just leave it laying flat until it cools off. Otherwise, you press it, it's still hot, and you pick it up, you know, you're going to wrinkle it right back up again. So there we have it. This is the apple core unit, I guess. I'm trying to. These are the apple core, and you can see how they look. So glue, but it seemed with the 1/4-inch foot. The only problem with the 1/4-inch foot with the guide is the guide kind of sticks out a little bit. But it seemed as long as I lift up that top fabric, and you don't have to lift it up as far as I did. I was lifting it up so you could see the two fabrics. Just lift it a little, and you can't pull on it. That's the whole thing. Oh, thanks, Rhonda. You're going to lift it and kind of let it slide through your fingers. Don't hold it back. Don't try to stretch it. You really have to try it and just let it do its job. It'll all work out. Because when you're panicking and you're looking ahead and it's not lining up, it's not going to line up at the end. It's like, how would I explain it? It's not going to line up until it's within an inch of wherever it is you want to line up. Does that kind of make sense? So when, you know how we had the pin in the middle? Well, those two pins weren't anywhere close to each other until I was about an inch away from the pin, from the two pins. And then all of a sudden they were like best friends again. So the thing is it's a good exercise in letting go and trying not to yank fabric and pull it to make it work, because it doesn't need your help, because it's like an optical illusion. It's going to work out. So does anybody have any questions? Give you another close-up there. And again, I would give it another press. And I have to remember, oh, look, I can go on either side. If I was shaped right, I could go in any direction. Oh, I don't want to be there. That's right. I got to be down here. There we go. So I could turn that into a placemat. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this, and you know how we started our resource book, and I'm going to put this in my resource book, and I'm going to make some notes to go with it about using the 1/4-inch foot with the guide or using glue, just to remind myself later on, should I get a wild hair and decide I want to do a whole quilt, which will never happen, of this. It's nice to make yourself some little notes and put it in your resource book to refer back to. But if you can, give it a try. So that's it for tonight. We're not too late tonight. And we won't be together Saturday because that's Holy Saturday. That's Easter Sunday, right? So we'll be back with a new project a week from Saturday. And I think I'm going to do a coin purse that's a little different than usual. No zipper. And the coins won't fall out. That's the best I can tell you. I got to work the pattern out and make sure that actually I can live up to the fact of the coins aren't going to fall out. So thanks again for everybody for joining in. Have a happy Easter. I hope if you got snow, it's not snowing for very long. And if I don't, so I won't see you Saturday. So it'll be next Thursday. So we'll be together next Thursday evening before the Saturday salon. So I'll see you next Thursday. Just as a reminder, on my blog and on Facebook, that I'm doing my April list of projects. So you can go ahead and read about that. It started yesterday. No, it started today. Today's the 1st. It's been a long day. Today's the 1st. So I'm going to post a project every day, hopefully, for the month of April. I didn't say I was going to finish a project every day. People sometimes misunderstand that. But it's my list. I do it every year. It's my list, or the last couple of years. It's my list of what I would like to do throughout the next year, whether it's an older project, new project, something different. And it's just a list. I do it in pencil. I can erase anytime. So check it out, and maybe you'll join me and make your own list. So thanks again, everyone, for hanging in with me tonight. See you later.